So I was reading Genesis for the first time in a while today, and as I was going through the story of Abraham, which I've been familiar with since I was a kid, I was very surprised to find out that there is so much in the book of Genesis I do not remember happening. I was asking myself, how long has it been since I even read this thing? Because I don't remember any of these details. Doesn't really matter. Basically, I got to the part of the story about Hagar and Ishmael, and Hagar, if you don't know, is Abraham's, his bonus wife. So, kind of a complicated situation. Basically, Sarai, Abraham's first main wife lady, was old and infertile and couldn't have kids. So she's like, here, you should go with Hagar and have a kid with her. But then Hagar gets pregnant, and then they start to beef, and there's all kinds of baby mama drama, and maybe, we really should only have one wife because this did not work out for them. Anyway, Sarai starts to be really mean to Hagar, which is confusing because it was your idea, ? What's wrong with you? And Hagar runs away because she's so sad about the whole thing. And then it says the angel of the Lord finds her out by a spring in the wilderness. And the angel of the Lord can mean a lot of things, but it most likely means an appearance of Christ in the Old Testament. And he comes and comforts her and is like, hey, I've heard your cry of affliction. I understand what you're going through. I'm going to bless you and your son. And then in verse 13, it says this. So she named the Lord who spoke to her, you are El Roi, which means God sees me. So she had this moment in her moment of darkness where she was really struggling. She was really hurt. That's not a fun situation to be in. Being somebody's side chick, basically, that they're just using to have a kid. That's not a fun situation. So we can understand reasonably why she would be very upset and feel not great. But the Lord comes and comforts her in that and expresses to her hey, I'm going to bless you out of this. I've heard you when you were afflicted and offended and going through so much. I was listening to that. And that moment profoundly impacts Hagar. That's an interaction with God that as his followers, as his people that we can have, that he does see us and hear us. Every time we call to him, he sees and understands everything we're going through. And on a deeper level than he did with Hagar now, because Jesus came and put on flesh and experienced humanity. And so now as our high priest, he can sympathize with us in every way. He knows what it's like to be rejected. That just blows my mind. Every time I feel misunderstood, which is annoying, it's not fun to be perceived wrongly. That's my greatest fear. Why are people not perceiving me the way that I am in my own mind? That's the worst. Jesus knows what that's like, but he didn't feel the need to explain himself. He often just let people be offended and misunderstood. And so when people reject me or people don't want me or I feel hurt and I'm going through affliction, I can just trust that Jesus literally understands what it's like, and nobody can comfort me better than he can. And if he was rejected, if it means getting closer to him and knowing what he's like, then I'm willing to be rejected too. For the gospel. Amen. See y'all later.